Okay, welcome to the Startup Sack podcast. I haven't done one of these in a while. Today with me I've got Ryan MacCarthy, who is the founder of KickFactory, and we're going to talk a little bit about his background and what KickFactory is all about. So welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background in entrepreneurship and what you did prior to launching KickFactory?
Sure. I grew up in Chicago, but I've gotten into the startup space through building a product for myself. I didn't have internet at the time, and so I built a wireless directory of kind of like Yelp for Wi-Fi back when free Wi-Fi was a thing. And I ended up selling this list so that I could build partnerships for a Wi-Fi company at the time, now a security and VPN company called Anchor-Free. And they're doing very well. Since then I started another company, and now KickFactory. KickFactory exists to reach customers at their moment of need, and so what we do is we win customers for brands right when they are expressing a need on the internet.
So I saw you pitch last week at 1 Million Cups at Valley Extends, and some really cool stuff. So maybe talk us through a little bit of a use case for the customer. Like, they experienced, I think you had an example of, I have a flat tire or some kind of a need, and being able to tap into that need and provide leads right away. Talk about how that works a little bit.
So what we found is typically the customer journey starts with a stimulus. It starts with something that happens in your life that says, I need to buy a product or service to solve this problem. And Google came around and said, hey, there's a time when people open up their laptops and search, and they called that the zero moment of truth. And then they go to the store and they buy the product, and then they go home and they experience the product. That's the customer journey as explained everywhere. What we started noticing is there's a new moment that has been emerging that is at the moment of expression. And this is after the stimulus, after you have the event in your life that needs fixing. But before you actually are actively shopping, before you open your laptop and search, before you open your phone, before you ask friends. This is in the flat tire example, there's a growing number of people that when they get a flat tire on the way to work, their first instinct isn't to open up their laptop and search for a mechanic or someone to patch their tire. Instead, they're taking their phone and they're taking their selfie, and they're saying, I'm going to be late for work. And so what I do is I tap into those signals on behalf of brands, and then we engage that person to meet their emotion. We empathize with them, and then we work with the brand to solve their problem as fast as possible. And what we find is that when you talk to customers earlier at the moment of expression, as close to that as you can, they buy more, they're more loyal to you, their cart values are higher, they're more likely to actually make a purchase, because what you've done for the brand is they've rolled a red carpet through the buying process and told the customer from the moment of need where they need to go to solve that problem. It's a friend of mine puts it this way. He says, you are the doctor that gets to show up with an aspirin to the customer who just said, I have a headache. They didn't go and they didn't call their doctor, but you showed up with the solution to their problem, and customers are, as you might imagine, very excited about that.
So how did the idea for doing this come about?
So I had a friend who was an investor in a barbecue chain, and he shared how he has the best barbecue in the area. And so he asked us if we could identify people who liked barbecue. And so I did that. I found everyone in the Chicago area that liked barbecue and invited them to try this barbecue and incentivized them to do so. But basically I was scraping the internet trying to figure out who likes barbecue in this region. And it worked very well for him. And then my brother at the time was at Sears, and he says, if you can do this for barbecue sandwiches, you can do this for appliances and refrigerators and air conditioners. And so he walked us in and got us into the CMO, who said, this is a significant opportunity, there's significant dollar amounts, and let's go chase these customers. And he had the vision to say, there's no way I want my competitors getting to these customers first. He had the vision to say, I want to be the first one to invite the people that need a refrigerator or a dishwasher or whatever most. I want to be the first one to invite them to use my product or my service. And so we built it through Sears and then expanded other clients from there.
So what's your background that enabled you to do this? You got to have some serious, I mean, you did some scraping, so you got to have some data experience or some tech experience. What's your background?
I've been doing product development, engineering, at the startup. So you wear lots of hats as an entrepreneur. You wear lots of hats, but I definitely have the engineering side to. I guess the easiest way to do it is I look at a problem and then I start figuring out all the tools in the world. How do I solve this problem? And is it possible to even solve this problem today? And so I think that's really the way that I looked at the problem about barbecue sandwiches and the problem of getting air conditioners sold to people. Is just, is it possible to handle the volume and velocity of these data points? And if it is possible, can I organize them and can I reach out to them in a way that's meaningful? And really, it came without. I didn't start with a tool and say I'm going to find a use for this. I started with a problem and I said these people need their problems solved, and if I can work with brands to meet them, it's going to work. And so it was iterating as much as anything. It was going through and seeing, is this possible, and then getting a little more smart at it, a little smarter.
So what stage is KickFactory at now? How many people have you got working on this? You've got an MVP, you've got a solution out there. I know you've got clients, revenue, funding. What's the status?
So we are bootstrapped, profitable, and proud. We've got about 30 different brands that work with us right now. We are about 35 employees. We have two offices here in California, an office in Chicago, and then right now we're bootstrapped. We do think that there is an opportunity to grow this, put the accelerator down a little bit and to grow it a little faster, and so we are open to looking at investment at that point.
So what you work out of Valley Extends. Can you talk a little bit about your operations, what you've got going on there versus I think you're also in San Francisco, or?
No, I have a Chicago office there, so there's different units. So I do the tech and the data side, but I also work with, in close proximity anyway, not functionally, but close proximity with our fractional business development team, which is run through Valley Extends.
Okay.
And the way that works is the alternative for startups to hire significantly skilled business development resources is a huge challenge. You need to find people that have bought steak dinners for the right people for the last 20 years, and you need to pay them, to keep up their Porsche habit. And so and then you don't even know if it works for another 3 to 6 months, and that just doesn't work. As an entrepreneur, we demand results, and we demand results quickly. And so working with Valley Extends has helped us to open this fractional business development model where we are able to work with superstars that have incredible connections and are able to walk us into the right people, because they have been the ones that have been able to buy the right steak dinners to the right people for the last 20 years. And so that allows us to, and we have a product that works and it's scalable and it's of significant size, that we can afford to pay them handsomely when they kill, when they find us the right partner. But it saves us all of the cash outlay, the upfront cash outlay to go win these contracts. And sometimes these contracts can take months to close, because you're dealing with significant brands with significant teams that all need buy-in.
So if there's a brand out there who happens to be watching or listening to this, and they're intrigued by this, how can they find you, and how can they contact you and hire you, basically?
So we work well with a lot of different clients, from financial to retail. But if you have customers that are, if you think about your products and services that you sell, if you can find that there's conversations that they're having about those products and services, maybe they broke their previous product, maybe they need a new one, maybe they're disappointed with one of your competitors. What we do is we work with the brand to identify how many of those people exist, and then we go and we conquer them and we reach out to them directly. If any company wants to figure this out, I work for KickFactory, that's my company, but if anyone else wants to figure this out, you can go to marketsize.io, and that makes it's a chatbot. It just gives you the ability to talk about your company, talk about your products and services, and then you will get a market size back that lets you know how many customers either you can engage with every day.
Okay. So switching gears a little bit, I like to ask everybody in interview, what are some of the key lessons learned in your entrepreneurial journey here with KickFactory or other ventures, and also words of advice for other entrepreneurs out there?
The word of advice is iterate and listen to feedback. Really is to keep moving, and keep talking to people. The more you talk to people about the problem and the more that you engage directly with your clients, you're going to learn the problems and solve them better. We always find that when we go meet clients, even clients that have been working with us for years, and just you take them out to lunch, you learn all sorts of problems that you could solve, but they didn't even know you could solve these things. So buy your clients lunch, buy everyone lunch, figure it out, go talk to the people and figure out what they're looking for so you can keep iterating through. A friend of mine just told me recently, he's like, the easier your life is, the wider and the deeper your relationships are, and so it's all about talking with the people around you, and I think the startup community is a great way for that too. So build relationships with as many people as you can, because it just gives you people that you can call and help, and you can help them out and they can help you out.
Good advice. So you've relocated to Sacramento from. I guess what I'm wondering is why Sacramento, and what are your thoughts about the innovation in startup scene here in Sacramento?
I knew nothing of the startup scene in Sacramento. I am impressed with what I've seen so far. I spent most of my career in the Bay Area, and am very familiar with the Bay Area startup scene and the madness that is around it and all the excellence that is there. But the things that I really appreciate about Sacramento is the proximity to the movers and shakers, to the leaders, to the kingpins, is very flat here. Like, you can get in touch with anybody you need, where you can't do that in San Francisco. If you want to talk to the mayor of San Francisco, wait in line. It'll be years before you get that opportunity. But if you want to talk to anybody in Sacramento, you can. And when you hire here, you're in my experience anyway in the Bay Area is you hire and then you train them very well, and then they can go somewhere else and get paid a lot more. And so you're in this like constant competitive cycle where you're spinning the wheels a lot. And in Sacramento, you can build your team. It's far more affordable. The cost of living is way down, and the people here are far more loyal to the companies that they work for because they are enjoying their quality of life. It's not the same rat race that is in the Bay Area.
Cool. I'm sure lots of people here are happy to hear that shout out. So, speaking of shout outs, any last shout outs or anything you'd like to share with anybody?
No, I think this is great. I don't know. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ryan, for your time, and best of luck with KickFactory.